to win, but positive side seems to glow. We are who we choose to be, so be careful who you choose. Love every day like there's no tomorrow, and give to others the joy of life, so no one will hurt. Love and love will love you back. Open your arms to life, and life will hug you back. Don't be scared. Life is still one-time thing. Thank you.
I've asked some of our Rotary folks, and Mr. Johnson, are you here? Yes, okay. I want to say to the State College School District, come on up, sir. Come ahead. They were absolutely fantastic. Katie Rickert, others at the school when I called on Wednesday morning, and they have been very, very helpful. Appreciate it. Mr. Johnson's the principal at our high school, and I know he doesn't like to do public speaking, maybe, but I heard that. And actually, I don't know how we're going to handle this anyway. Then he represents the school.
Yes, so I have a few words for you. So on behalf of the State College Area High School, I would like to express my condolences to Joe's families and friends. It is always difficult to lose someone we love, but I think that losing someone so young is all the harder. Perhaps we should focus on remembering the great times spent in celebrating the life that touched so many in such brief time with us. We can do no more honor than to pass on the love and the compassion that Joe gave us in his time with us here. Joe will be truly missed by his friends, family, and the school community. Our thoughts and prayers are with you all.
Our Rotary District 7360 is part of a multi-district that's called Eastern States, or Essex, or sometimes the students call it Eastern States Sex. That's not how I view it. Alan Smith, I served as chairman of Essex for several years back. Alan Smith is here from Harrisburg, a long-time Rotarian, and he's the current chairman of the Eastern States Student Exchange Program. Alan.
You have to know that Carl just stole the line I was going to use. Because Carl, as you know, is ordained. And I was on the board of ordained ministry, not when he went through the process, but long after. And I would always say, well, you know, Carl's at some meeting, they're having sex. And it just didn't work. 10 days ago, I was in a room, probably 20 times the size of this, with a little over 400 Rotarians in the Georgia World Congress Center at what was called the Youth Exchange Officers Pre-Convention Meeting. There were about 100, 110 countries represented there. And those officers were responsible for approximately 7,000 exchange students this past year. That gives you a little sense of the magnitude of this program. The beginning of the program, they traditionally honor and recognize those who had passed. And the first two honorees were a past director from Mexico and another individual from somewhere in Europe, and they were probably close to my age. And then Eki, who is the international chair of the Youth Exchange Committee, brought Joe's name forward. In our moment of silence lasted a little longer than a moment. Essex has been around for 50 years. To the best of the collective knowledge of Rotarians like Carl, we have only lost 2 inbound students during that 50 years. One was in North Jersey, it was a prom accident, and the other was Joe. We had one of our outbound students, he lost because they were in a person versus vehicle, and obviously the vehicle won. That, to me, is 3 too many. But when you look at the fact that in those 50 years, Essex probably dealt with 5,000 or 6,000 students. Yeah, well, okay, Carl corrected me, more than that.
I had 1,500.
Oh. But anyhow, that's what our program is. And I unfortunately didn't have the pleasure of knowing or meeting Joe, and actually I never even saw his paperwork because this year we had approximately 200 in and 190 out. And obviously I'm not going to look at 400 kids' applications, I'm sorry. But in spite of why we're here, what we're doing here today really reassures us as to why we do this program. My condolences go to all who have been touched and affected and are a part of Joe's life. Thank you. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Good thing Carl's here. He's my memory. Essex will create an honor to Joe. Rotary has a program called Our Foundation, and when a donation is made in honor of or in memory of an individual of $1,000 to that foundation, they become what is called a Paul Harris Fellow. And Paul Harris was the individual who started Rotary back in 1905. The Essex will make Joe a Paul Harris Fellow, and the appropriate documents and other recognition pieces will be sent to his district, the district governor in Thailand. Thank you.
And our district governor is Richard Drucker from Ringtown. Dick, you have a few things to say. And you have met Joe over the past year.
Michael Hornby is looking at me very strangely because I'm touching a microphone. Those of you who are at the district conference will understand why. Carl and I both received a letter about 7 days ago, 8 days ago. Carl's is here. I was in Atlanta when the letter came. And it's, I'd like to read it to you first. Dear District Youth Exchange Chair Hill, we were deeply saddened to learn of the tragic death of your inbound exchange student, Sirowicz Joe. I'm not even going to try. This is heartbreaking news for the Youth Exchange Program and the family of Rotary. We cannot begin to comprehend the healing process that you must now undertake. Know that as you walk in grief, we walk with you. As you and your district seek peace, the values of service and fellowship will guide you. Joe will greatly be missed by those whose lives he touched. This tragedy has touched all of us at the Rotary International Secretariat. On behalf of Rotary International, the Rotary International Board of Directors, and Rotarians and Youth Exchange students worldwide, please accept our deepest sympathy and condolences to you, Joe's family, and the members of District 7360 and 3360. Our hearts are with you during this difficult time. Sincerely, John F. Germ, Rotary International President 2016-17, John Huco, General Secretary of Rotary International. As Carl said, I met Joe a couple times. But you have to understand that I am the introvert in the group, and so I meet somebody and they say, oh, nice to meet you, and then I go and stand in the corner and watch, because that's just what makes me feel more comfortable. So I didn't interact with him very much. I remember him at Knoebels and at district conference, because somehow I had something to do with district conference this year. But I'm sitting here, and all that's going through my mind is a line from a song from the 60s by the Youngbloods. The song was called Get Together. And the line is, "We are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass." Now, all of us in our lifetimes are a moment of sunlight that will eventually fade into the grass. But for the people in this room, the Costellos, the Cassidys, Joe is a moment of sunlight that will take a long time to fade into the grass. But without that moment of sunlight, we wouldn't have the grass. And that's how we should remember Joe. He was that moment that caused things to grow. Thank you.
And last but not least for me, my club president, Dr. Tracy Sepich, who was, along with my outbound coordinator, Kathy, my club chairman, Chad, Yvonne, my son, and Aaron from Turkey, were with me that Tuesday night, stayed till after 10 o'clock, on the phone, on the phone, on the phone. And this gal's been so supportive of everything.
First of all, thank you all for being here, and Carl for organizing this. It's been just a beautiful ceremony. Joe was a special person. As said many times, he was always smiling. And I don't mean just a polite smile. He smiled with his eyes. He had inner joy and peace. And I would say that's the inner essence of Joe. Joyful, peaceful spirit. Many others have spoken about their love for Joe. It was easy to love Joe because he loved us freely and without question. Joe was a fully engaged exchange student in his host family's homes, in the district exchange family, in his school, and in our club. He came to meetings often with Max, and he also helped work at our service projects, such as our Polar Express, bringing the joy of the North Pole and Santa to young families, and our annual spaghetti dinner, raising money for local charities that support youth. I know we all have our different beliefs about life after death, but I do think we can all agree that Joe's spirit has touched all of us in this room, and his spirit or soul will continue. On behalf of the Rotary Club of State College Downtown, we were privileged to have known Joe and to be his host club. We were so very touched and grateful for all the support we have received locally and from all over the world. Rotarians and our friends have big hearts, and even as we miss Joe, our hearts continue to grow. I feel that Rotary love right now in this room, and I hope all who miss Joe will be comforted